Welcome to a very special episode of LA Fishguys. This particular episode should be the first of its kind. We're going to actually witness the birth of sea nettles. These are the jellyfish with the long dangling tentacles, the type that actually and really sting. We've been fortunate enough to receive some loose polyps from a friend of ours at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. These polyps are for the northeastern Pacific sea nettle. Let me try my attempt at Latin here. Chrysaora fusensis. These are the sea nettles that have the long ribbon and lace type tentacles, the type that really pack a sting. Again, we've received polyps and had them in our system, which we built specifically for these sea nettles for probably over the last year. They've just now beginning to show signs of strobilation. Strobilation is the process where the tip or the ends of the polyp begin to segment and actually begin to separate or bud away. This is referred to as asexual reproduction. Also in this particular case, it's referred to as strobilation, where the disc actually separates from the polyp oral disc. It then becomes what's referred to as a ephyra, a free-swimming ephyra. So the polyps originally arrived loose, and we laid them down on top of these little acrylic slides in here and elevated them off of the bottom. But as you can see, over time, something's growing here in the tank. Not real sure what it is, and at the same time, I'm not really ready to eliminate it yet. I did just clean this one chamber here because I don't want it to overtake the polyps. Now, the polyps, which I think there are some still on the bottom, but they've migrated themselves over here to the side. And I'm not sure if you can see this, but those are the little white polyps there. Maybe if I turn the camera, you can see the tentacle extension. Anyhow, if you look even closer, you'll notice that there's a number of elongated beigey brown sac-like things hanging from the white polyp. Those are soon-to-be ephyra. Currently, they are the segmented disc end of the polyp. And they'll begin to pulse here shortly, and that pulsing motion is what will allow them to detach from the polyp. At that point, they become free-swimming, which means they are then technically called an ephyra. And that would be the first juvenile jellyfish of the sea nettle aspects that I will have produced. Now, it's interesting that sea nettles are obviously different than moon jellyfish. With moon jellyfish, you turn the temperature up to stimulate the polyps to strobilate. With the sea nettles, you turn the temperature down. Well, for some odd reason, our thermostat here doesn't want to go any lower than 50 degrees before it goes into an error mode. And so we're only able to achieve 50 degrees. Now, it's my understanding that I want to go lower to encourage those polyps to strobilate. Well, through the summer, that was kind of difficult, especially with the thermostat not allowing me to go down any further. Now that it's December, winter time, it's cooler, and that chiller seems to be more capable, or just that overall effect has encouraged those polyps to begin to strobilate. So we should shortly have some free-swimming ephyra of the sea nettle family. So if you take a real close look here, you can see the polyps. Those are the white things. They've attached themselves to the inside vertical panel of the polyp tank. The polyp tank in this case is a 3-chambered tank. The first chamber is where the polyps are kept, and that water flows or flushes itself into the second chamber, the second being where you would capture the ephyra. The third chamber is a screened-off overflow chamber. Our plan is to use a turkey baster and to draw out the free-swimming ephyra out of the second chamber and move them over to an adjacent ephyra tank. a tank set up specifically to rotate or to keep the ephyra in suspension. So our task now is to locate those free-swimming ephyra. And if you look real close, it's not in focus, but you can see it pulsing right there in the foreground. That's the first ephyra that I've been able to spawn in this particular system. Here's a much better view. See him pulsing there in the middle? That's a free-swimming ephyra, which is recently separated or budded away from the polyp. For all intents and purposes, that's the first commercial northeastern Pacific sea nettle produced in captivity, outside of a public aquarium or an academic institution, or what's also called tank raised. So, having spotted the first free-swimming ephyra, the next step is to get the turkey baster. I've found this tool quite useful in extracting free-swimming ephyras from the aquarium gently. Having drawn up the free-swimming ephyra, we can move over and dispense him directly into the ephyra tank. This tank's designed to rotate or keep free-swimming elements suspended. So it turns out if you find one ephyra, chances are you'll find a bunch of ephyra. So let's go looking for a bunch more. And with a little bit of patience and some effort, looks like we've collected about 3 dozen ephyra. Look close here. It's hard to focus on such a small item, but you can see them. And as you've seen in the previous episode about decapsulating baby brine shrimp, which is what we have here, we're going to give those new golden sea nettles their first meal of tasty, freshly hatched baby brine shrimp. So we'll go ahead and serve up the new jellyfish's first meal and sit back and gaze into the tank just a little bit. I do have to pat myself on the back. This is now the second species of jellyfish that I've been able to reproduce or tank raise in my own home or as a business venture. So be sure to come on back for part 2 as we show you an updated growth on the Northeast Pacific sea nettles.